Hello and welcome back to another Mechabellum game. This one's going to be a replay of a game that I played offline. I thought this was an interesting game. Our opponent picks up the Rhino Specialist, and I am going to weigh my choices here. I'm going to pick up the Saber-Tooth Specialist. Alright. We're both assessing what we want to do to set up our boards here. I ended up starting Tarantula and Fangs, and my opponent has Steel Balls, Arclights, and Hounds. Currently, I don't know where my opponent is going to be applying his forces. He goes for a more standard setup. Puts the Steel Balls all the way in the back. I'm sitting here trying to decide what I want to do. He ends up teching into the Hounds on turn 1 here, or round 1. I decided to go Arclight myself, and instead of playing Arclights, I went ahead and slapped down a turn 1 Saber-Tooth, or round 1 Saber-Tooth rather. Saber-Tooth is probably easily one of my favorite units. One of the people in the comments in a previous video said it takes a lot of inspiration from the mammoth tanks from Command & Conquer, and I can agree with that. So I decided to do a recommended formation from another person. I'm not sure who this person was. I forget the name. So after looking at his setup, I decided to just roll with it and see what happens. Got my mammoth tank. I got my Saber-Tooth in the back line, getting protected by those Fang units, and we're taking down these enemy units as best we can here. Those Steel Balls are going to get some lock-ons, and the Spider on the left gets absolutely decimated. And our opponent here is going to take round 1. I got pretty beat up in these first few rounds, and I didn't think I was going to be able to come back, but this ended up being a close game. Closer game than I would have realized. I would have liked. We're going to tech into the intensive training for both players here on round 2. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit. I pick up some additional Fang units and a second Saber-Tooth. Our opponent slaps down a couple more Hound units, and he hits the intensive training on his unit on the right side, and he ends up picking up the attack enhancement for the tower. On my end, I'm looking around, I'm thinking about what am I going to do here, and throw out a missile. I slap down a Saber-Tooth on the left. I hit the intensive training on it, but I can't afford the upgrade, so I'm just going to do that in the next turn. Pull it down here. So the missile that I placed here, I was hoping to take out the left side front line, and this missile just turns out to be a whopper. I end up deleting everything on the left side, which is a great power spike for me in this round, and I'm going to end up taking down the opponent here with my Saber-Tooth tanks. The Tarantulas are great at the chaff clear, and the Saber-Tooths are great at just punching through big units. So that was wonderful for us. In this round, I see that we have an absorption module. Opponent immediately goes into the field drop, and I decided to take the absorption module, knowing that I am going to rank up the Saber-Tooth level 2, and I immediately go into the secondary armament, which is a huge power spike. Level 2, healing on attack, plus HP, and additional armaments so that I get more healing more often. Fantastic. Since that missile turned out to be so good, I place another missile in the same location. See if I can recreate that beautiful shot on the left side there. We'll see what my opponent does to handle that. Speed it up a little bit here. And we're into the next round. I just now noticed that he flanked me on the right side there. This Saber-Tooth and all of my backline are going to go over here to take on these Hounds, and also he teched into incendiary bombs, which is going to melt my chaff and caused the inevitable demise of my units here. But this Sabertooth is taking a lot of punishment. You can see that it's just healing constantly. Well, maybe I don't lose here. Sabertooth OP. I could have swore I was going to lose this match, but nope. That power spike with the healing and level 2 Sabertooth was just too much to handle. I believe on the left side my opponent did place some units to flank me on the left as well as the right, but I cannot recall. I'm going to see the opponent here pick up the Wasps. I end up going Phoenix, thinking that the Wasp might have been too weak of a play. So let's see what happens here. We do get the intensive training, so I do level up one of my Sabertooths to level 2. And I think I used the intensive training to level up the Sabertooth on the right as well. The secondary armament is pretty powerful. I decided to put an Arclight on the right side to try to take out the hounds as well as eat the shots for the incendiary rounds. Opponent's not doing anything on the left side. Let's see what else is happening. The opponent puts the 2 Wasps on the back line next to the steel balls, and he techs range for the steel balls. I tech range for my Tarantula so that they can actually clear more chaff. And on his turn 4 power spike, he does get the Rhino. Last round we did get an extra tank, which I put on the right side, which got intercepted by the flank. I decided to put out more arc lights to deal with these hounds, try to take those rocket shots so that my chaff doesn't get burned alive. We'll see how that works out for us. Speed it up. So we do end up going into this next round with 3 Sabertooths. Now, at this point, I realize he's gone air units, and I think, oh, well, what do I do? On the left side here, my Fangs are taking on these crawlers, and I believe they will not win that fight, even with the Phoenix support. Right side, Phoenixes are taking on a bunch of the enemies, but this debuff is going to make short work of our units. And yeah, my Fangs are not able to take out all of this chaff. Steel balls, hounds with fire rockets, arc lights. Yeah, I'm not doing much against that. My Phoenixes are still in the fight, but they are not going to take on all of these units. They're just not going to get enough shots off to take on these Wasps with all this chaff in front of them. We do eliminate some of the threats before our planes go down, though, so that will reduce the blow just a little bit. Round 5. We get some nice selections here. He skips, I go for the heavy armor. Recruit a Arclight to deal with some of these crawler formations that he has put on the left side to rush the tower. So I put some Arclight defense around my tower to prevent the early snipe on the tower, which happened last round. I level up the Sabertooth on the left to level 3, and I'm going to throw armor on, I think, one of my other Sabertooths. My opponent decides to go for range and electromagnetic shots on the arc lights, and this proves to be a lot more of a power swing in my opponent's favor than I would have liked to have seen. And I don't really come up with a good answer to this problem for some time. So let's see what happens next. Let's move it along here. I throw that armor on my tank in the middle here, trying to pressure this right side tower as much as possible, since this is where most of our forces are located. Right side goes down pretty quick. It uses all the shots on the arc light, which will die to the fire, which is what I intended. Fire on the left side is burning all the chaff, so my tanks are exposed here. Tarantulas are doing their best, but with the debuffs coming out of the Electromag, they are pretty much useless. Electromag on my Sabertooth, disabling the side guns, instantly goes down. Good thing that the tech does not disable the absorption module, because that's exactly what happens here. My Sabretooth loses its technology, but is still able to fight through its massive HP pool. And our right side is cleaned up by the Phoenix. So these Sabretooths are holding it down long enough for the air units to pick off most of the more troubling units. This round we see Ion Blast. Our opponent skips. I think about this for a moment, and I was thinking about going Improved Fortress here. I feel like it would have been pretty good pick into the board that he has. So it was either between Improved Fortress or Ion Blast. I did briefly consider the extended range on Phoenix, but I don't think it would help me out here, so I decided to go for the Ion Blast, and I'm just going to try to rake this right side as best I can to disable these arc lights as best as I can. And what comes out next is a beautiful scenario. Our opponent puts a Rhino right in our front line, and he gives Final Blitz to this Rhino. This is an interesting tactic I've seen a couple times. I've even tried it myself. Yeah, it's quite fun to run a unit in there that just explodes all over the enemy face. He puts it right in the front. He's going to go toe-to-toe with these Sabretooths and try to blow them up. I foresee him picking Ion Beam during this round, so I decide to shield up, which is going to save my units from this Rhino push that he's trying here. He also goes for a missile above the Rhino to try to take out the chaff so that he can get into these tanks and take them out with this Final Blitz. So I decided to put some missiles on the left side to stop any chaff that he might put down. I'm still dealing with this crawler threat on the left side, and both of his wasps are now level 3. Watch this Ion Beam come down from the sky. Just absolutely beautiful shot, wiping out most of the bigger threats, taking out the whole back line, and I just push right on through like an unstoppable tide. Can't get a much better Ion Beam than that, I would imagine. The Wasps are going up against these Phoenix on the right, and the Phoenix are buffered by the chaff on the ground. And we should clean this up pretty quick, take the tower on the right side. Left side, we're still dealing with some air units, and the Phoenix are going to take out the problematic Electromag arc lights. The Electromag on the arc lights were super good. I felt like I was doing really well, and the only reason we did so great in the last round was the Ion Beam. Now, I see that my opponent has the ability to pick Melting Point, Worms, and Overlord. I was pretty scared of all these picks. All these giants are amazing. Yeah, I took a minute to mull over the options of what might be better here, and I also go with the Overlord, so it's a double mirror pick here for the Overlord level 2. And he immediately techs into Overlord Artillery, and this puts me on the back foot, especially since he picked up another Overlord. So I put mine on the far left, away from the big fight. I don't know why I chose to do this, because I felt like I needed to pressure the left side more and try to hit that tower as quickly as possible. So after thinking about it for a little while, I moved this Overlord around to a better position to try to take on what I don't know is coming. And my response to the Rhino on the front line with the Final Blitz was to pick up a single marksman with electromagnetic shot in range at the start here. Oh, too fast. So what happened, right at the beginning of the round started, my marksman shot the Rhino, and it disabled its tech so it couldn't explode right at the front. So that saved a lot of my frontline forces from getting annihilated there, right at the start of this match. And the Overlords coming out of the opponent are just ripping through my units. Like, my ground forces aren't really doing much against that. And I started to get worried here, because he still has a lot of stuff on the field. And I'm doing my best to try to take out some of the trash here. And I ended up taking a lot of damage this round. We do get the tower, and my Phoenix are going to take out a couple more units. But those two Overlords are pretty tanky. And I don't think I'm going to get either one of them out of the sky. Nope. So we completely lost that round. Took a lot of damage. Round choices this time. He goes Portable Shield. I go Wasp Swarm to run some air chaff to fight up against these overlords. My opponent doesn't have a whole lot in the way of anti-air except the air units themselves. He ends up going a third overlord, and he gets another level on the wasps in the back. I don't know if he actually takes it here. We'll keep an eye on that. I start selling out of units at this point. I'm like, I need to do something drastic to change the tide of the battle. I'm still leveling up this Sabertooth. It is now level 4. My opponent is leveling up his Overlord. It is now level 4 as well, because he's been using the intensive training on it. And I didn't take the threat as seriously as I should have. My answer was to go additional Phoenix with range and quantum reassembly. And that wasn't the right choice, as we'll soon find out. But this enemy Overlord is pretty tough, especially with the Overlord artillery with the additional guns. It's basically a floating Sabertooth at this point. I got the guns on the ground, he's got the guns in the air. I do tech double shot on my Sabertooth to help deal with that Rhino, but the Rhino gets sold to make way for more Overlords. Left side chaff is getting destroyed. Right side flank for my opponent is destroyed. And now I'm just trying to bank on my Phoenixes taking out as many big units as I can. And at this point I start to realize that I need to come up with a different plan, because what I'm doing just isn't working. So much better than last round, I would say. We did get a few more kills before the tower goes down. So I feel like that's progress, but we're still going to take a massive amount of damage. You can see that these quantum reassemblies are trying their best to stay alive, but this level 4 Overlord is just too much. I'm not sure what the appropriate answer here is. I mean, you could go Marksman, but I think it's too late. You need some pretty high level Marksman. And yeah, we lose this round as well, taking a massive hit, going all the way down to 1127. So the HP is relatively even. My opponent's still ahead. In this round, I'm going to take the 350 in round 9 to get the electromagnetic storm, and my opponent does the same. I'm freaking out. I'm starting to sell out of things to upgrade my Overlord. I give it range. I think I end up getting a second Overlord, and I don't really do anything to protect myself against the electromagnetic storm. My opponent is putting shields up, which is pretty smart, I might add, to defend yourself from the electrical storm. I decide to get more marksmen on the ground with electromag and range, and I'm going to try to outrange these overlords and take away their technology, hoping that would give me some advantage. Also, outranging the arc lights to take away their electromagnetic and range would be great as well. And after that, I look around, double check, make sure I don't have anything else. I actually didn't pick up the second Overlord yet. I thought about leveling the Phoenix in the back, but I don't think that was going to be too much. I end up loaning and going range and speed on my units. And we'll see how this works out for me. I figured if I could outrange him and take away the shields and the technology and electromagnetic his stuff, that would give me the advantage and let my Phoenixes do their work. But you can see my Overlord on the left is getting distracted by the small units like Mustangs and things of that nature. Yeah, just no real answer to what's going on from my opponent from me. And my marksman ploy did not work out the way I had intended. We do take out some of these units with my high-level Overlord, and we do stem the bleeding a little bit with this level 3 Overlord and the Phoenix support with the quantum reassembly. So we will take out a few things, but I don't think it's going to be enough. This level 5 Overlord here is going to absolutely destroy my air forces, and the marksmen on the ground, they're not helping either. You can see that we're just tickling this Overlord, not really doing any damage to it. And I go all the way down to 27 HP. My opponent still has 1282 HP. The unit picks this round are pretty interesting. My opponent's going to go for the Fire Badger. I am thinking about this Abyss quite a bit. I don't think I'm going to take it. I decided to go for Phantom Rays instead, and I'm going to give them Cloak Technology and Range. And I'm going to throw them on the left side flank, I believe. Yeah, I put the Phantom Rays on the left side flank, hoping to go for this tower here. It doesn't really work out for me in that regard. They end up getting hung up on these Phoenixes or these Mustangs for quite a while, and these Wasps. So my only response to what's going on here is the cooldown for the Ion Blast is back up, so I'm going to hit them with that same rake that I did before with the beam, hoping that that will do enough. And I start selling out of things like my Tarantulas on the front line, which aren't really doing much anyway. And I level up as much as I can on my units. Some Arclights get leveled up to deal with the side threats, and the Phoenix in the back line get leveled up to deal with single targets. I end up picking up mobility and enhanced range. I do rapid resupplies to get that loan because I'm pretty much on death's door at 27 HP. I throw down a rocket here, or a missile, to try to take out any frontline units that rush in, like these crawlers on the left. That way I can free up my left side to join the fight on the right. And here's the big finale. Beam comes down. Mustangs are engaging on my units, teleporting in on the left. We do take out the flank on the left and the right. And that beam is just so amazing. It rakes out, takes out one of the overlords, and our frontline forces on the right side are holding it down quite a bit better than they have in the past. And you can see that the electromagnetic shots out of my low-level marksmen are actually keeping this thing pretty well at bay. And it goes down with enough fire support from my units. And we take this all the way through both towers. You can see that the only things left are the Mustangs on the left side here taking on these Phantom Rays. And they do a good job taking out 5 of the 6. And the last one here, I believe, does go down. Yep. But by the time those units turn to engage anything else, they are overwhelmed. And I end up winning the round off of that by just a few points. Let's go back to view the battlefield here. Negative 410 to my opponent is what happened. I had the overlay hidden there, but that last round, enough units survived to take my opponent to negative 410 from 1282. So we did about 1600 damage to him, securing the win. And yeah, I definitely didn't deserve to win this. I I definitely thought all the choices that I was making was subpar in response to what I was seeing coming out of the opponent. And yeah, it worked out for me this game, but it might not in the next. So anyway, thanks for watching. I thought this game was super interesting, and I thought I'd bring it to your all's attention. And yeah, we're doing pretty good in the season. I need to be able to play more. Unfortunately, I've been busy. And currently we are looking at 26, we're almost to silver. We're about 2 or 3 games, 2 or 3 wins away from silver right now, getting this nice emote. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.